DJ, talk about, we're going to fast forward from when you were a little guy on the DeMatha field. Fast forward to like middle school, right? Was football always your sport, right? I know you played a handful of sports, but, getting ready to go into high school or getting ready to think about high school, did you know that, hey, football's my ticket even back then?
I mean, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, this is my ticket. It's just something that I love to do.
Yeah.
It's really like growing up as a kid, like football was really all I knew. Like with watching my brother and you guys play, it was basically like the only thing I wanted to do. I wasn't really too focused on like, oh well, I got to use football to go to school or to make a living or anything like that. It was more just like I want to do it. Like I want to do it at a high level, and I'll do whatever I got to do to play. And DeMatha was always the school I wanted to go to. So, getting accepted in DeMatha was like a dream come true to me. I remember being there as a freshman. That's funny. I was just talking to somebody about this like a couple of weeks ago. Being there as a freshman, I was probably one of the smallest kids on the team, on the freshman team. Freshman football is more like an extension of just Little League. Like it's not,
Right.
I mean, we're all freshmen out there. We're all still kind of like a lot of us haven't even hit growth spurts. It's just out there. Like a lot of people out there just having fun. And I remember like the first couple days of practice, I was making plays like all over the field. And I remember like them introduced me to Coach Elijah because I remember Bill McGregor had just left the year I got there.
Oh, he was
I know
gone.
Bill,
Okay.
yeah, Bill knew me through you guys, through Mark and everything, but I'm
Right.
sure I don't even think Elijah knew who I was at the time. But I remember after like a couple of practices, it was like, all right, let's introduce you to Coach and da. Like he called me out of class and what I'm saying, I made that introduction and the rest was kind of history after that. It was like, okay, you can ball and it was just I mean, at that point that's when like things started making more sense.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start to use football to do this, and I know you can get opportunities to go to college and pay for your tuition and things like that. And like after that, I hit the ground running.
Yeah. Was there ever a question about going anywhere else but DeMatha, or was DeMatha it always?
No, it was always DeMatha.
Yeah. Yeah. I figured, look, I had to ask. I mean, I figured just because you were around the program for so long, you grew up watching us play. You were 2 years old running around on that football field, going to Gonzaga, going to McNamara, going to Carroll, right? Going to Parkdale High School, watching us play.
Right.
And I was kind of in your same boat, watching guys that I grew up looking up to. I always wanted to go to DeMatha, and I knew that I wanted to be a Stag from the time that I was really young. So the fact that, I was able to make that come true was really special to me. Talk about, the day that you commit to DeMatha, right? You walk in as a freshman, right? It's overwhelming, right? But you're wearing that navy blue coat, right? That tie. And you're like, okay, now it's go time. Was varsity football an option for you? Or was it more of like, hey, man, I'm going to develop. I'm going to play freshman ball. I'm going to play all the positions, both sides of the ball, return kicks, and do it all.
So varsity wasn't an option at all. Like I said, like I had a relationship with Coach McGregor, but like I said, I don't think Elijah even knew who I was until that day I met him. So and like I said, I didn't hit my growth spurt till later in high school too. So I think I was like 5'4", like maybe like 160 pounds at the most. So it was just let's run this freshman thing and be the best player on the team. And like you said, just do everything: play offense, play defense, return kicks. Like I was even running down on special teams on kickoff at the time. Like whatever to just play and help us win. And I said I think I made more of a name for myself that year. Like even at the end of the year, like they brought some guys up to play varsity, but I still was too small. Like it wouldn't work for me. And then I remember going into my sophomore year is when I kind of hit a little bit of a growth spurt. And still at the time, like it was so many big name guys on the team. Like so it was so overwhelming. Like and I still could play, but I didn't realize where I stood amongst these other guys. You know what I mean? We had like Cam Phillips, Chris Jones. It's like the whole defense was that Juwan Bentley, Deontay Holden, like a whole bunch of guys. Just I can keep going down the list, and like these guys are getting recruited by 20 plus schools at the time, and I'm just little old me trying to make a name for myself, just trying to make the team. At that, you know what I mean? So
no doubt.
Like I said, it was overwhelming, but after a while, like things start falling into place, start making plays at the right time. And I mean, had a great year that year, and then just kept it going after that.
Yeah. Talk about time management, DJ. Talk about your time management as far as academics, right? Mm-hmm. Practicing. working out. JB's back on the call, so he'll love this question. I'm talking about time management, JB, right? Like you go from 8th grade into your freshman year, right? And it's like crap hits the fan, right? Because you got to deal with working out, you got to deal with practices, you got to go home, you got to come home late after practice, you got to do homework. Talk about time management. Was that hard for you as a freshman, or were you okay?
Yeah, it was definitely something I had to figure out because, I mean, DeMatha is not the easy school at all. You know what I mean? You had to, like, you got to take your academics very serious. So maybe like the first couple of semesters, I was struggling. I remember getting with the academic support people, just trying to get as much done as I could so I can still have time to train and get better at my craft. But it was definitely something where you got to find the correct balance with everything. You know what I mean? And you can't slip in any area. So I can't give you an exact schedule of how things went. That was a long time ago, but I know it did take a while for me to kind of get used to it and kind of get my academics under control and still be able to be the athlete I wanted to be. But that was definitely my number one priority at the time.
Did you focus? Was it only football for you, DJ? I can't remember. Did you dabble into other sports? Did you hoop at DeMatha or no?
No, I didn't hoop. The only other thing I did was I ran track, but that was just to kind of keep in shape for football.
Yeah, and that was in the winter. That was in the winter, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. JB, you got any academic questions for her?
No. I got another question for DJ that I know will be very helpful to young folks and anybody that wants to be good. DJ always had the unique ability to handle adversity. No matter what was thrown at him, it was always stoic, always coachable. And if you could share, what went in that mindset and help develop that mindset, because that's really something that I think this generation struggles with. When bad things happen, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's on the field, whether it's something in life, you always handle the toughest stuff so well. Always bounce back. And if you can share that, I just know that would be something that I know any young person that hears it can learn from.
Honestly, like, I mean, I've dealt with a lot of adversity, nothing too crazy, dealing with different injuries and a couple setbacks. But I think initially, like, the biggest thing for me was just my support system, like having a big brother like Mark and my mom, my dad, everybody around me at a young age to kind of let me know that, like, okay, this is a tough time, but everybody goes through tough times. Everybody gets past them. Like, you got to look forward to what's to come, and that's what's going on right now in this very moment. And I think that kind of stuck with me early on, and getting through some of the adversity earlier in my life, like dealing with, like, for just with the injuries, helped me out for later in life as a man. So just now, like, I mean, you know how it is. You deal with the small things every day, but even recently, I just tore my ACL in week 13 of this last season, which was a contract season. I was playing at the highest level I've ever played at, playing very confident. And then boom, adversity hits. And I promise I didn't even let it bother me for more than an hour. Like, I'm in the locker room, I get all my emotions out the way. By the time the rest of the team comes in, I'm there being as supportive as I can. And even now, like, I don't want my kids to see me go through certain things and mope around, and you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I know that there's going to be positive that I will have to, eventually deal with at the end of at the end of the tunnel. So it's just keeping that mindset. And like I said, the biggest thing is also, especially while you're young, is to have the right people around you, just so, you don't kind of fall into these deep slumps or fall into some of these struggles that come with adversity.
100%. DJ, talk about high school as far as getting recruited, right? How were you seen, right? And I know DeMatha, like, we were lucky. We had Bill, we had Coach McGregor, we had the staff. He was actively talking to coaches for us, right? He was actively putting his players on that platform, right? Talk about, players who aren't that lucky, right? How do they get seen? How do they get noticed? Do they go to camps? Do they go to showcases? Do they send out highlight films? Do they DM coaches? Talk about how you did it as a player, and if you were a player in today's game, how you would do it.
For me personally, like, the biggest thing for me was just put it all on tape. Like, I put the work in the off season. Like JB will tell you, I was literally in the backyard of the Jets every day almost, like just putting work in, try to get as good as I can, and literally putting as much film as I can on tape, like just a lot of plays, making plays every game, and making sure that gets seen. Because I mean, nobody can take that from you. Like you can go to a camp and look great in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, but like football is football at the end of the day. So, and I knew that at a young age. So I was like, okay, like these coaches will notice me. I mean, I might not look the biggest, I might not be the strongest, but these coaches will notice me if I'm making these plays. And that was the biggest thing for me. And then everything else kind of fell into place after that. Like after my junior year, like I had a lot of time, I had like a 12-minute highlight tape or whatever the case may be. And I made sure I sent that tape out to every school that I wanted to get recruited by. And then I hit the camp circuit. Then I worried about the shorts and the t-shirt game. And I mean, that's when things started to blow up for me. And it wasn't always it wasn't like the fastest recruiting journey. Like I remember kind of struggling to get that first offer, but once it did come in, the rest came kind of raining in. And I mean I ended up at Maryland, but I mean I did have some opportunities to go to a lot of other places as well. So
okay,
like
so
I think, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Paul's right there. When was your first offer? When did it come in?
It was.
Now hold on. Back in our day, we got letters, right? So I don't know how it was back in your day when you were a freshman or sophomore or junior, but like, was an offer really an offer, or was that like a letter?
So we would get recruiting letters, but it didn't really mean anything. It was more just them advertising the school and some of the stuff they were doing. It's just like paper that they were wasting, to be honest. Like some of the letters meant something. Like you would have some handwritten letters from some schools or some coaches,
right?
But it really wasn't much. And I do remember like Brooks used to keep letters from guys. Like, you know what I mean? Coach Elijah didn't just hand them out to people whenever they came in. Like it was like a thing where he didn't want your head to get too big about certain like schools reaching out to you, because at the end of the day, it didn't really mean anything. But like my first offer, actually, like I remember the coach coming to the school. It was from Old Dominion. The coach came to the school and watched us work out after I repeatedly sent my tape to the school. And I mean, he liked what he seen. And I remember Coach Brooks brought me in. Was like, look, they're offering you a scholarship. Then after that, it took a little minute, but then I think the very next one was Maryland. And and like my name was a little bit more out there at the time. And I was like, okay, I'll give this a little bit of a minute, like to see what other schools reach out. And I heard from a couple other schools, but my heart was kind of already sold. And I mean, I was young too, and I like what those coaches were telling me at the time, not knowing like the real gist of how the whole recruiting thing works. But I mean, I decided to make that decision early, even though I was still hearing from other schools. But But I mean, it's all, like I said, it's all a process. For kids nowadays, I would say the same thing, basically. Like put the plays on film, make sure you get that film out to as many coaches as you can, and then worry about like the 7-on-7 and the one-day camps or the rivals, whatever it is now, like the rivals, whatever it is, you know what I mean? But get the film out first, or get the film out first, and then worry about everything else.
Yeah. JB, one more for me, and then I'll turn over to you. DJ, talk about how important it is to commit to a school that you're wanted, right? Like go play where you are wanted. Like how important is that versus committing to a school just because of the hype or the logo or the record or the notoriety, or, you know, go to a school where you're going to play. How important is that in your mind?
It's very important. You not only, because I mean, a coach will tell you what you want to hear. I feel like at the end of the day, you got to really pay attention to like who's there at your position, what other kids they're recruiting, like if it's a good fit for you. And you also got to love the school in general, because you can get to that school and after half a year they can fire the whole staff. And now you're stuck at a place where it's like, oh, I didn't look into anything else that mattered but who the coach was and what he was telling me, you know what I mean? So, and then you'll end up in the portal or whatever the case may be. And I know a lot of kids get stuck into that, but I think it's definitely very important to go somewhere where you're wanted, but to also go somewhere where you feel comfortable. You know what I mean? Just in case you end up getting stuck there and a new staff comes in and you don't want to be like, oh, well, I hate the school part and I don't really know like if they have the major I want to do or anything like that. You know what I mean? So definitely, if I had to tell my kids, I would look like take your time, fall in love with the school before you fall in love with the coaching staff, and make sure that you're really understanding what they're doing and who they're bringing in and who they have, because I mean you can't get trapped in, you probably like, you know, you don't want to end up in a situation where you're not playing till 3 years later, and now it's making it a little bit harder for you.
Agree.
Well, shoot, D, I tell you what, your jersey is one of the jerseys that I have on the wall in the house, and you know, can you speak a little to, you know, how important it is to love ball and the sacrifices that have to get made, and I was lucky enough to watch you every day, you know, drive up at 4 o'clock and go get an hour's worth of work in, and then go on to the next thing. And that's the biggest. If someone said, you know, in one sentence, sum up DJ and sum up his life, his football life, it's just how much you loved ball, you know, how driven you were, and all the little sacrifices that not everyone who knows you, people close to you, know how much you sacrifice. Can you speak to how much you love ball and how that went into how much sacrifices you made in the little things that you did when nobody was watching to be successful?
Right. No, I mean, I really can't explain like the love I have for football. Like it's unconditional, because I mean I've dealt with a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and at the end of the day, it's still something I wake up and want to do all day. You know what I mean? And I think throughout the journey, like if you don't love ball, like it really won't work for you, because like even now, so in the NFL, like you start OTAs like early April all the way through like July. Then you start camp. I mean, all the way through like July. June. Then you start camp like late July through September. You go through the season and you're spending countless hours in the weight room and in the meeting rooms. You really only get to play football a small amount of that time. Like you play one game on Sunday for 3 hours, 4 hours, but there's so much preparation leading up to that game. Like you gotta really fall in love with the process of, okay, this is what we got to do to be great at football. This is what I got to do to be good at football. And then you'll be able to like really enjoy the game. Like people like playing. Nobody likes losing. Nobody likes being bad. Nobody likes sitting on the bench. So it's not only like loving the playing the game. It's also loving like the process of what goes into it. You know what I mean? Because and then like even in the college at the college level, like you spend so much time just preparing for the season, off season training, winter workouts, spring ball, all these things, and that's not necessarily the one thing that we get to show for. Like, you know what I'm saying? We get to show our talents on Saturdays and Sundays to the rest of the world, but nobody understands like what really goes into it. And I think as a younger kid, like you got to understand that that's what's coming, and you got to understand, like you got to have a love for that as well, and not just the game of football. So I remember you spoke on like me coming up almost like every day to get an hour into work, and then maybe go train somewhere else, or maybe go run routes with a quarterback somewhere else, or whatever the case may be. Like that's all a part of the process. I think early on, like I didn't realize it, but I fell in love with the process, and that's kind of what pushed me to make it to the next level and to keep going and appreciate the product that was shown on the field because of me falling in love with everything else that comes with the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, big time. And I think what you just said, DJ, falling in love with the process is big, because these kids now, and parents are included, they fall in love with the offers. They don't fall in love with the process, right? And I tell these kids all the time, like I'm a little bit of a different story. I didn't have an offer even after my senior year, right? My offer didn't come until January of my senior year, after the football season, after we won 12-0, after we finished ranked 17th in the country, after we win a WCAC championship. And I'm sitting there at Christmas like this, looking at my watch, like I got nothing, right? These parents and these kids now, they fall in love with all the offers, right? Because they're all promoted online, right? They see all the offers being posted online. Talk about how we don't get frustrated if we don't have an offer after our freshman year. We don't get frustrated if we don't have an offer after our sophomore year. Fall in love with high school. Be a student. Be coachable. Be a friend. Be a teammate. Focus on the process of going through high school and enjoying it. And if you do all the right things and do all the little things, the offers are all going to fall into place, and that perfect offer is going to come at the perfect time.
Right, and it shouldn't ever be a rush. Like, you know what I mean? This is like high school football is something you should never want to rush through. Like, and I tell kids all the time, like this, I played at every level in the Big Ten, ACC, now in the NFL. Like the most fun I've ever had now looking back at it was at DeMatha. Like from freshman to my senior year, that was the most fun I've ever had playing football. Like, you know what I mean? Those guys that I played on those teams with, I went on to be best friends with later in life. And like it's just it's different at the next level. Like everything looks great. And you know what I'm saying? Like you said, you'll see all this stuff on social media that looks good, all these facilities, uniforms, all this NIL stuff. Even in the NFL level, like you'll see the glitz and glamour of it, like the big name receivers or whoever, like Justin Jefferson, all these guys. And it looks so cool, but at the end of the day, like it's such a business that unless you're like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great life to live. I wouldn't trade this in for anything, but it's such a business that it's so much other things that come with it that you don't even recognize. If I could go back and play high school football again and redo those 4 years, I promise you I would do it again. Like
No doubt.
a million times over and over again. So if I could just let kids know, like one thing for sure to do is just be where your feet are while you're in that process. Like don't rush through it. Enjoy it, and like you said, everything will fall in place at the right time. Like you said, you waited till what was signing day in February.
Yeah,
you waited till a month before signing day to get your first offer, and everything worked out for you. You know what I mean? And that every kid has to understand that every journey is different. You can't look at social media and see, oh, this kid got 10 offers as a freshman, I need to at least have 5. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't compare everybody's journey to yours. You just gotta stay in your lane and do things at your pace, and everything else will fall in place.
100%. Well said, DJ. I appreciate it, man. This is great. I really thank you for hopping on the call with us. These kids look up to you, man. Obviously, I've been following your career for a long time, ever since you were 2 years old on the field. But even watching you grow, watching you develop, watching you play at the highest level, like it's really cool to see. So I appreciate you coming on this with JB and I. And these kids are going to value what you say, and they're gonna look up to you. So I appreciate you taking the time to hop on with us.
No, anytime, man. I do anything for you guys, man. Y'all are family, like I said. So
love it.
Anything you guys need, let me know.